Welcome students. Today we are going to see the session on types of XML documents in the fourth unit, that is data representation and presentation in the technology subject. There comes the outline of the today's session, objectives and outcomes of the session, example document and XML document which are specified as ordered trees, and we are going to see XML syntax rules and the types of XML documents. There are three types are specified. One is well-formed XML documents, valid and invalid XML documents. The objective of this session is to understand the XML syntax rules and the types of XML documents. The outcome of the session, the students may be able to analyze the given XML documents which follows the syntax rules and the types of the XML documents it belongs to, whether it may be a well-formed XML document or valid or invalid XML document. Here is one example is given. The root of the XML document is class list, and the first statement is XML declaration statement, otherwise called as processing instruction or simply called a PI or directives or prologue. Okay. The student tag is the child of the root element, and inside the root element student tag you are having the name and grade as the child elements of student tag. At last we are having the ending tag as the closing of root element. Here first tag and initial tag and last element or the siblings or the children of the parent element name. And in the employee tag, you are having the attribute name as ID and the value is 100 specified in double quotes. And you are having the closing of name element and employee element. And XML uses its start tag and end tag as the containers. The start tag and the optional content and the end tag forms the element. Elements are the building blocks out of which an XML document is assembled. XML document has a tree-like structure with the root element at the top and all other elements are contained with each other. So the logical structure of the XML document, which is represented as the XML tree-like structure. So all the XML document must contain a root element. This element will be the parent of all other elements. So we can have a structure like a root element will be the first element, then followed by the root element you will be having the child element, followed by the child element you will be having the subchild element, and closing of every tag. And here is an example given for the XML tree. So here is the root element is bookstore. Inside the bookstore root element you are having the book element, followed by the attribute category, and the value is cooking specified in double quotes. And inside the book element, the child elements are title tag, author tag, year, and price. So this XML document is picturized as a tree-like structure which is called as the XML tree. The root element is bookstore and having the child element, that is book, having the attribute category, and the book element having the child elements, there is title, author, year, and price. And title is having the attribute lang specified within the double quotes, and title having the text content also. And author is having the text element, year is also having the text, and price element is also having the text. Okay. Let's see the syntax rules of XML. All XML elements must have a closing tag. The XML tags are case sensitive. For example, if you are having the book starting with the capital letter book element is different from the tag book starting with a small case. So since it's a case sensitive, it's representing the different tags. The opening and the closing tag must be written with the same keys. For example, if it is starting with the M caps in the message tag, then it should close with the capital letter M in the message tag. If it is not so, then it's an incorrect statement. All the XML elements must be properly listed. For example, you can have similar to the HTML tags B tag followed by the L tag. This text is bold and italic is the content. Followed by it should close the italic tag, then followed by the outer tag, that is B. If it is not, then it's wrong statement. It's the invalid statement. All the elements must be properly nested within one another. Okay. And XML is having the entity references. Some characters have a special meaning in XML. For example, if you place the character like smaller, less than symbol inside an XML element, it will generate an error because the parser interprets it as the start of a new element. For example, message tag is there followed by the content if salary less than 1000, then closing of the message tag. So this interprets as starting of the new element. So to avoid this error, we can replace the less than character with the entity reference. So we can use in place of less than ampersand LT semicolon. Okay. These are some of the predefined entity references for less than symbol, ampersand less than LT semicolon, and for greater than ampersand GT semicolon, and for ampersand AMP semicolon, for apostrophe APOS semicolon, and for quotation mark QUOT ampersand QUOT semicolon. These are used as the entity reference symbols. And commas used in XML is similar to the HTML. Exclamatory and hyphen, this is a command, and hyphen closing of the tag. White space is preserved in XML but not in HTML. The naming rules are names can take letters, numbers, or other characters. Names cannot start with a number or punctuation character. Names cannot start with the letters XML. Cannot start with the spaces. Any name can be used, no words are reserved. So XML document comprises of elements, attributes, plus some of the details. Here is a simple XML document, and the article is the root element, and the other tags are author, title, text. And here all the tags are freely definable by the user. So these XML document can be represented as an ordered tree. Article is a root element having the child elements. There is author, title, and text. Author is having the content, and title is having the content, and text is having the child elements abstract section. Section tag is having the attributes number and title specified within the double quotes. The values are specified. And section is having the child tag. There is index, and having the child web. So there are three types of XML documents. One is well formed, the second one is valid XML document, and the third one is invalid XML document. What is meant by valid well formed XML document? That does not need a DDT document type definition, but it must conform to the all XML syntax rules. When it is called a valid XML, the valid documents conform not only to the syntax rule but also to the DDT. Invalid XML, neither it follows the XML syntax rules nor it follows the DDT syntax. Then it is called an invalid XML. So here comes the example. See closely to the example. All the first part is which satisfies the XML syntax rules. So it is called as a well-formed XML. The second example, closely see the memory tag, and the closing of the memory tag is not represented as that of the starting tag. So it is not a well-formed XML. We call this as an invalid XML. So what is the function of the XML parser? It will read the XML file for strings and getting its content according to the structure, and then it provides the programming interface to the users. So what is well-formed XML? It adheres to the syntax rules specified by the XML 1.0 specification, that is, it must satisfy both the physical and the logical structure. See this figure, when you will call the well-formed XML, whether it follows the XML document follows the syntax rule. When it will call the as valid XML, it should be a well-formed XML, and also it follows the DDT or XML schema. So a well-formed XML document, it should follow the syntax rule. So here it follows the XML syntax rule. Okay, here is the example given. So we call this as a well-formed XML since it follows the XML syntax rule. Valid XML, it should be a well-formed one, and it also follows some syntax. Semantic rules. So XML document is usually linked to an external file that has the semantic rules for the document. The file can be the extension .ddt or the schema.xsp. So semantic rule means it could be a name of the tag, or it could be a order of the elements. So this is an example for valid XML. Here doc type is the keyword and system is the keyword, and course is the root element, and it is having the DDT extension courses.ddt. This is the name of the file. Okay. Invalid XML, here closely listen. The credit tag is having the starting tag is credit, and there is no closing of the credit tag. So it's an invalid XML document. So the rules for XML, well-formed XML documents are: first, it should be a case sensitive. Second, these are some bad examples. See here, the H1 is small case and the closing is capital one. So it's not a valid or well-formed XML document. The rule 2 is all elements that contain text or other elements must have start and ending tag. Rule 3, all empty elements commonly known as standalone tags must have a slash before the end of the tag. Rule 4, all attribute values must be contained in quotes either in a single quote or a double quotes. Rule 5, the elements may not overlap. It should be nested properly within the other elements and cannot start before a sub-element and end within the sub-element. Rule 6, isolated markup characters may not appear in parsed content access. The isolated markup characters must be represented as a character entity and include the following, that is less than symbol, square bracket, opening square bracket, closing square bracket. All these are represented as the entity reference inside the XML document. And these are the isolated markup characters are specified in the slide. You can use these representation in your XML document. So these are some of the bad example. You can closely watch the example. That is Jack, ampersand, AMP, Jill. Closing of the tag. So semicolon is needed inside the content. Okay. And next example, equation 5, ampersand LT 2. So semicolon is missing here, so it's an invalid statement. Good example represented with the semicolon. So it's a good example. Rule 7, element names and attribute names must start with either a letter, uppercase or lowercase, or an underscore. Element names may contain letters, numbers, hyphens, periods, and underscore inclusively. Here is the bad example, and here comes the good example. Well-formed XML document must adhere to some following rules. Every start tag has a matching end tag. Elements may nest, must not overlap. There must be exactly one root element. Attribute values must be quoted either a single or a double quote. An element may not have two attributes with the same name. Comments and processing instructions may not appear inside the tags. No unescaped or signs may occur inside the character data. This is called only well-formed documents or processed by XML parsers. These are some of the references used for creating these slides. Thank you. Happy learning, students.